Hi, I'm Nate with Average Ag Archery Pro Shop and Range here in Phillipsburg, PA, and today I want to answer and resolve the age-old question of do I fletch my arrows with a right or a left helical or offset? It is a great question indeed, and the answer is very simple. It doesn't matter. And scene. No, but seriously, it really doesn't matter, but let's actually explain why this all came about. And it really does matter for only one subset of people, and that is single bevel shooters. If your arrow and broadhead selection have a right bevel on the broadhead, you should shoot a right offset or a right helical, so the bevel of the broadhead and the arrow are trying to turn the same direction, and vice versa. If you have a left grind bevel, single bevel broadhead, you should have it that your arrow also turns to the left with that broadhead. But for everybody else, it doesn't matter. But the reason why it has started to come about as a mattering is because of high-speed cameras. We've come to discover that certain bows, really the strings, will collectively, well, that's magnetized. We've come to learn that strings and the way they're constructed and served will have a natural cast to the left or a natural cast to the right, depending on how they're constructed. The good news is that 90% or more of strings on the market are going to give a natural cast to the left. And I'll unpack it, I promise. So this Elite Exalt here would come with Winner's Choice custom strings from the Outdoor Group, although I do have gas bow strings on here currently, which is one of my favorite sets. And they're constructed in the same manner as 60X, as Zebra, as match bow strings, as pretty much any other builder on the market with the exception of Threads and like America's Best bow strings. Those are the two outliers. But everybody else, the way they construct their strings allows the serving to be put on the exact same way as everybody else. And what that does is it gives arrows a natural cast to the left. Okay, so a natural cast to want to start spinning to the left. If you don't believe me, if you have a bow that's strung with anything other, to my knowledge right now, of Threads and America's Best bow strings, take a bare shaft. So take and strip all your fletchings off, or just if you are starting with shafts, don't fletch any up. Cut it to length, put your point, nock, and insert everything, all that sort of stuff, and shoot it. And notice which way the nock index are. So a lot of guys will take a big silver Sharpie, but also every single nock in the history of nocks has what's called an indexer, which is either a raised bump or, in this case of this gold tip nock here, a raised ridge. And that allows you to have a tactile feel of which way your nock is sitting. So if you line your nock indexer so that it faces you every single time, you know exactly which way your arrow is going. And so I don't even put a silver Sharpie on it, just shoot it into the bag. And I'm talking like 6 feet away. So I got a 36-inch stabilizer on the end of this. I'm pretty much about a foot away from whacking the bag with this stabilizer, and I just see which way it goes. And it always, that nock indexer for me will have a slight turn to the downside, which means it's going to the left, okay? And outside of America's Best bow strings and Threads, they twist and serve the opposite direction from everybody else. And so then, therefore, my arrow will have a natural cast to the right. And so the idea process is we want the arrow, if it's going to naturally go that way, we want to fletch it to naturally go that way, continue spinning that direction. Lancaster Archery did a video, I don't know, maybe a couple years ago or a year or two ago, where PJ went out with a high-speed camera, and they showed that if you took a bow, Matthews, a Prime, a Hoyt, a PSE, an Elite with their stock strings, they naturally want to cast to the left because that's who builds their strings for them, and they're all built that way. And so they saw if they fletched an arrow with a right offset or right helical, the arrow had this moment of pause. And instead of naturally turning to the left, because that's the way it wants to, and then the fletchings would help it go to the left, had this moment of pause, and then it would start turning to the right, because the bow wanted to go to the left, fletchings want to go to the right. There's kind of a immovable object meets an unstoppable force, kind of moment, and then it starts going to the right. And so people started freaking out. Like, oh my gosh, I need to make sure my arrows are all fletched, exactly, blah, blah, blah. The issue is that we didn't know that. Like, we didn't realize how big of a deal that was. And when I say big of a deal, it's like when you're watching slow motion sports, and there's always like a reviewable play, particularly in football, and they're like, well, remember, this is in slow motion, right? So it looks like it, he holds onto the ball for a long time, but he actually doesn't. It's the same deal here. This arrow is going, in 10,000 frames a second, and it's about 6 feet from the bow, 8 feet from the bow before it starts spinning. 6 feet, 8 feet from the bow, like how much, how fine-tuned down the rabbit trail do we need to go here? you know, none of us knew this. Traditional archers for years and years and years, before high-speed cameras even existed, thought that arrows were spinning as soon as they left the string. So if you were a right-handed archer, you needed to have an arrow that spun to the left, and if you were a left-handed archer, you needed to have an arrow spun to the right because it had to clear the riser. Well, we know that's not true. We know the arrow spins after it leaves the bow, so it doesn't matter which direction helical you have. But that's the thought process here. People have been shooting a right offset with a left string and a left offset with a right string for decades, and no one cared. And realistically, it just doesn't matter. So the question is going to become, Nate, if it doesn't matter, how do you have your arrows fletched? And the answer is I have them fletched to the left. And I've been fletching them to the left on accident for, I don't know, close to 10 years. I have a jig that's a left helical jig that I bought by accident. And I was like, well, I guess I'm fletching them to the left. And the only thing that I knew was that my field points were loosening all the time. And that's one of the things of why right offset as standard from the factory is because it helps tighten your field points if they hit the target, right? So it's less of a pain in the butt for manufacturers. And you'll notice that out of the factory, no one is fletching with a left offset or a left helical. Easton, Victory, Gold Tip, Ultra, they're all going to be on a right offset or a right helical because it helps screw your field points in. Now they are going to rattle loose over time, but almost every single time that I pull an arrow with a left helical or left offset out of a bag, the field points rattle loose and you're twisting it back in. You got to glue them in. It's a pain in the butt. Also, that could be thought then, you know, hey, if it is a left and it's unscrewing the field point, is it unscrewing the broadhead when it actually impacts an animal, which is a much more violent force? That's a great question. I've never noticed it. I've never noticed my broadheads being loose, but that is a good question, particularly when it comes to single bevels, how much torque is put onto them in that direction. You know, the single bevel threads on the insert aren't any different and the ferrule aren't any different. They're still a right thread. So, you know, it's just kind of all these little intricacies that people get off in the weeds about. And I've been shooting these left helical fletched and left offset fletched arrows for about a decade. Do I notice tighter performance in grouping? Not really. A lot of people kick my butt shooting right offset and right helical arrows. A lot of people kill a ton of deer with standard offset fletched arrows. And actually last year, I was shooting the Ultra, the 246 Limiteds with the factory blazer vanes, a 1 degree offset to the right, shot broadheads, lighted noxious, fine, killed all my deer with them last year like that. So it's not a big deal. It's really not. Now, if you feel like it's going to get you, you know, over the hump, it's going to get you a few points here and there. You feel like you're going to get better broadhead flight, even if you're not shooting a single bevel. Sure, go ahead and do it. You know, don't. But at the end of the day, really, do not lose sleep over it. The number of arrows that I sell, you know, out of bows with their standard strings that aren't from America's Best or from Threads, and I don't even know how many of those I even sell. The number of arrows that I sell with a right offset or a right helical every year, it's got to be 100 to 1. Right offset, right helical to a left helical bow, or left helical arrow coming out of a bow that's supposed to be casting to the left. So it's just one of those things that it's just not worth losing. Sure, you can go on Archery Talk, you can see schmucks like me on the internet talking about it, but at the end of the day, there's so many people that don't even bat an eye about it, and they're killing a lot bigger deer than I am. So anyway, that's all for this video. If I left you with any questions, which I probably have, and I think I can hear a few angry people in the comments. We'll find out when this video is up. But if you have any questions, please do drop them down below in the comments section here on YouTube. You can always find me, Facebook and Instagram, Average Jack Archery. If you want to send me an email, averagejackarchery@gmail.com. If you live in central Pennsylvania, you live in the northeast part of the country, and you need a home bow shop, you can always are welcome to come check us out at 21 North Front Street in Phillipsburg, PA, Average Jack Archery Pro Shop and Range. We have the largest indoor archery range in central Pennsylvania. We have 2 ranges actually. We have 20-yard and a 40-yard with 20, 30, and 40 lines in it. So you're always welcome to come out. We have all the bows and accessories and arrows and broadheads you could shake a stick at. You're welcome to have us supply all of your archery target and bow hunting needs. But at any rate, I hope you're able to get outside, enjoy the sport of archery hunting if you so choose. Definitely enjoy God's beautiful creation and fletch your arrows any direction you would like. And we'll get to see you next time.